In the last video, you cut out all of these pizza pieces and created this new file. So what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to teach you about layers. So over here, this is our layers palette. Now I want you to think of them as pieces of acetate. And what that means, like they're like transparency films. So the only thing you necessarily really see on each of these layers is the object or whatever is on that individual layer. If you look really closely at the thumbnail, you will see sort of a checkerboard pattern. What that is it just means it's transparent. So it means that there is one thing on each of these layers. Now, in all of these layers, you can change the name. So we are going to do that. So I'm going to double click on it, on the word layer 4, or whatever layer it says, and I'm going to call this one crust. And then this one is sauce. So again, I'm just double clicking on them. If I can't tell what something is, this little eyeball right here will allow me to, if I'm looking over in here, if I click on the eyeball, it will turn off or make invisible, okay, what that layer was. So I don't have to, that's the great thing about working in layers, is that nothing is really permanent. Okay, so this happened to be the mushroom. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep going. This one is the pepperoni. This one is cheese. Okay, the background layer is just the white square, so we'll leave that one alone. Okay, so let's set up our move tool, because remember, every tool has options. So here's my options bar. I have it select to auto select and then layer. And what that means is I can come in here and everywhere I click, if I'm looking at my layers palette, it will bounce between the different objects, okay, which is what I want. If that's not selected and say I want the crust, it's going to say could not use it because there's nothing selected. I actually have to come in here and then click on the crust in order to make it move, okay? So auto select layer just makes things very, very simple. Okay, so I want to put everything on top. Oh no, so that's a problem, right? Because the crust shouldn't go above the sauce. Now, how do I fix this? Well, in your layers palette, everything is basic. So if something is on top here, it's going to be above over here. And anything that is at the lower end, right? So like, let's say the sauce should go above the crust. I can click and drag these layers and move them around. So now the sauce goes to where I want it. Now that's a little small. Like, let's just say I want that to be a little bit larger. Well, I can click on Show Transform Controls and I can adjust the size here. Now, what's going to happen when I do that is you have to finalize the command by hitting this check mark or pressing the Enter key on your keyboard, but you have to do that. I'm just going to turn that off because it's kind of in my way. All right, the next thing. Okay, same problem over here. Now, what I could do to make this really easy is I can start to just arrange everything how it should go in my layers palette. So I'm going to take this crust layer and I'm just going to drag it right above background. If I drag it below background, you're gonna see like it's not gonna allow it to happen, okay? So keep that there. And then the sauce should go above the crust, then the cheese above that, which it already is, and then the toppings, they don't really need to be, moved just yet. Okay, so that means now the cheese should be on top. Again, it's a little small, so I'll turn the show transform controls and kind of adjust the size just a little bit. That. I will hit the check mark, turn that off. Okay, now I don't know about you, but one little sad pepperoni is not make a pizza. So I want many pepperonis. So what I'm gonna do, first off, I'm gonna figure out the size of the pepperoni because that's way too big. So I'm gonna turn on my Show Transform Controls. I'm gonna adjust the size of this, okay, so that it's normal looking. Hit that check mark. Turn off those Show Transform Controls. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this, okay? So here's a nice, easy way to do that. It's Control and the letter J. Now, if you look at your layers palette, you have pepperoni and you have pepperoni copy. What I'm gonna do is just move it over because they're stacked right on top of each other. Now, if I just hit Control J, let's do it like 5 times, right? They're all just stacked right here. Oops, they're stacked on that one. And then I can just kind of move it around, figure out how many I want. Do I have any more? I do. Okay. Do I have any? Nope, no more. So we'll stick with that. All right, because I have other things I want to put on there. Okay, so same goes for this one. If I want more of these, I need to duplicate that layer. So I never gave that one a name, so I'm going to give that one a name too, just so I know what it's called. Okay, so on that, I'm just going to press Control J. Let's have 3 of them. So now I have 1, 2, and 3. And then I have my lonely little mushroom up here, which I am going to, let's put 4 of those on there. 2, 3, 4. So Control J, and I'm just gonna kind of, I don't really want them to be underneath things. I wanted them to be on the very, very top. So I have to go to my layers palette and kind of bring all the mushrooms to the top. Okay. I can even, because this looks kind of weird, I can even go to my show transform controls and I can see if I bring my mouse to a certain area, it turns into a curvy arrow, right? So I can kind of rotate these. Again, hit the check mark, click on the next one. Maybe they're all just slightly different. Remember that return key on your keyboard will also allow you to kind of finish up the command, so that way you don't have to go up and hit that check mark every time. Okay, so that is my pizza. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as a JPEG because I'm done. So save as pizza, change that to a JPEG. What a JPEG is going to do as well is it's going to flatten all of these layers, and that's what I want. So I'm going to hit save. The quality, again, does not need to be all that high, so I'll probably go down to 8 because I'm just trying to save some file space because things are starting to get a little full on my desktop. I'll click OK. This pizza is ready to turn in. All right, that's it for layers. Hopefully you guys learned something with that. The biggest takeaway is that the way layers are arranged in your layers palette is how you will view them in your workspace. So make sure that, you know, if something is not located where you want it to, and as far as arrangement, you just need to go to your layers palette to kind of make things, move them around. And also that you can change the size of individual layers. Okay, that's it for this.